Good afternoon to you all, my fellow colleagues, my lecturers, my senior bosses. Yes, this is College Tunibuakudia coming from OBI Technical Training Center. That's OBI TTC. It's been a while, but we've come back again on our quantity surveying lecturing. I'm here today to lecture you guys on the functions and responsibilities of a quantity surveyor. We've been doing something on quantity surveying. We're able to know the responsibilities of the clients, the responsibilities of the architects, and realize that some of the responsibility of the client is to finance the project. Or if the client does not have enough funds to finance the project, sometimes goes in for sponsorships. And we also got to know that the client has an instruction of changing certain things or certain aspects or certain stages when it comes to the construction projects through the architects. Yes, we also came to know some responsibilities of the architects. That is the designing of the building plan and also issuing it for the preliminary estimates to be prepared. So during the design stage, the structural design, the architectural design, the MEP works, and any other works that are carried on during the architectural drawing is the responsibility of the architects. And during the selection of what a contractor for the proposed project to, it stands on what the architects. So we get to realize that the architect is the head of the building team, and he decide on who to give the project to after the tendering processes. After quantity surveyor has gone through the tendering processes, interviewed individual contractors, and got to know that this contractor is capable or has a capability of doing the project. Yes. Now we are looking at the real deal, that is the function and the responsibility of the quantity surveyor. One, we say that the quantity surveyor advises the client through the architects as the cost effects or alternative material and method. The quantity surveyor is advising the client through the architect. So it means that any information that the quantity surveyor wants to pass, the quantity surveyor passes the information through the architect to the client. And it's specifically based on the cost effect. For every construction project, there's a cost involved. Definitely, you are going to buy material, one or two material, and it involves costs. We are going to buy material, either we are going to import it from another country to the country, or it is being manufactured here, and we are going to use it here. Through that, it goes through a cost process. We have transporting the material to cost, doing the procurement analysis to know the quality of the material, the appropriate material for the work. It's all cost effects. One way or the other, we take transport to go to do the material search on the market, to find the best material to be choosing for the work, and all those things all goes through cost, and it's part of the project costs. Yes, so those are under the preliminary cost, and it's part of the project cost, but just that is not part of the main work measured. So the quantity surveyor is responsible on to advise the client through the architect through the cost effective or alternative material and methods. There can be a construction project whereby the architect has designed the whole thing for it to be a concrete structure. There's no block work, there's nothing, there's no any other material, metal works or those things. Pure concrete throughout from foundation to finish. By looking at the nature of the work and the material which is recommended by the architects, the quantity surveyor can sit down and do an alternative material research and realize that there's another material that can fit the same functions and requirements of the concrete works and are less cheaper and can be used for those construction projects, and we can save costs on that. So we look at those variations of materials, then the quantity surveyor does a cost analysis on this and bring it out for it to be approved by the architect and being confirmed by the clients, by the architect too as well, for that material to be used. All these things that the quantity surveyor does purposely is to manage the costs and make sure that the client does not spend more money or waste money during the construction projects. And it's a very good thing because we help our clients to build, so that we help our clients to also save costs during the construction project and also choose alternative material to substitute the preferred material by the architect, which will perform the same function but will be able to it's less expensive as compared to the first one. So that is one responsibility or one function of it. Now, they say that the quantity surveyor prepares estimates or the total cost. That's the BOQ, the bill of quantity. The meaning of BOQ is the bill of what? Of quantities. You realize that on the board I've shortened it, which is the BOQ. So prepares an estimate or the total cost, that's the BOQ of the work for tendering by what? Contractor. When we are preparing an estimate, they said an estimate is what? Is prepared by the technical prediction of item of work to be used for the construction project. But the bill of quantity involves some other items which are not in the estimate stage. Some of the preliminary contents or the preliminary bills, like electricity for works, gas for works, transportation, on-site, off-site, money or associated funds related with administrative works and all those things, site photographs, site report preparation and all those things are cost items which cannot be found in estimation, but you can find them in the BOQ, that's the bill of quantity. So the bill of quantity gives us the total cost of the project, including the preliminary costs too as well. But the estimate depends entirely on the exact work to be measured or work measured item, or the actual measurement we picked from the drawing, and we do an estimate for it. And we do an estimate also to make what? A price analysis or a rate analysis based on what? Labor, material, plant, profit and overheads, that's the P&O. By the BOQ, we are able to get the estimate in it, getting the preliminary estimates, getting the estimate for the rate analysis to prepare the BOQ to get a rate per cost of an item. Example, let's say the cost of 1 cubic of concrete. So the concrete is made up of what? Fine aggregates, coarse aggregates, a binder, or either an admixture or not. Now we prepare an estimate on the material cost, then we prepare an estimate on the labor for casting that cubic of concrete, and we prepare an estimate on plant or tools and equipment to enhance the work to be what? Executed. Then we prepare an estimate based on what? Also the profit and overheads that will be obtained on what? On the casting of concrete. I realize that there are two things: the estimate or the total cost, that's the BOQ of the work, tendering by what? Contractors. So after the architect has designed the building and the drawings are ready for contractors to tender, the quantity surveyor will sit back first and prepare what? A preliminary BOQ that will be used to cross-check the other BOQs that will be prepared by what? The contractors, or be submitted by the contractors for tender valuation what? Purposes. So the quantity surveyor will sit, prepare the BOQ, and know the total cost of the project from foundation to finish. Then after that, they give opportunity for other contractors to tender, and these contractors also have their individual quantity surveyors. After they get the drawing, what they will do is to also go through the drawing and also prepare a BOQ to be submitted. So when the BOQ is submitted by the contractor, the quantity surveyor is to what? Is to analyze or evaluate the BOQ which is submitted by what? The contractor, and compare it to the preliminary BOQ prepared by himself for the in the aspect of the client side, in order when they are doing the selection of what? The contractor. So those evaluation processes and tendering processes will be assessed by what? The QS, the senior QS, the architects, and other members, other engineers which are part of the what? The building team. Then through that, they will be able to know the qualified contractor who is qualified to what? To take up the job. Then now let's go to the next one, which is what? The QS or the quantity surveyor advise on the terms of procurement and payment for works to be executed. The terms of procurement. Procurement in construction industry is very broad. We procure contractors, consultants, we procure materials, we procure plants and equipment, tools and everything that is gathering the construction project. So after we procure the consultant who will be on the project to stand at the side of the client, and also to protect and make the client safe, not to bear costs. At the same time, we procure contractor during the tender evaluation process in order to get the required contractor for the work. Then afterwards, we procure materials. That is why we do our market search in order to search for the quality, the right quantity of material that is needed. So of material, the right quantity of material, the right costs, and the right quality of the material that is needed for the construction project. So we procure all these things, then we procure the plants and equipment that is also needed. Make sure that we go in for efficient plants and equipment that can accelerate the work for it to move on. That will not bring about any cost effectiveness on the project. So advise the terms of procurement that will be used. Then also the payments for the works to be executed. Maybe with the payments, the QS can, or the quantity surveyor can come in terms like, okay, we are going to do the payment in 4 terms. So we're going to do first payment, that is about 25%. That's the initial mobilization before the project is started. Then they will make a condition to it that for the first 25%, that's the initial mobilization, the money is supposed to be used to complete the project to maybe about this certain percentage. Sometimes it goes beyond the 25% of the total work done, or sometimes it's up to the exact 25% of the total work done. So after that, then they do another mobilization for the second stage. Then they have the third stage before the final payment will be done. And through all these things, there's what we call retention. For every payment that will be done, they are going to retain 10% of the mobilization given, and that one is to cater for LAD. That is the liquidated ascertained damages. That's the LAD, liquidated ascertained damages. So anything after the contract or the project has been executed and the key has been handed over to the client, we give a duration of about 6 months. If there's no problem or there's no effect on the building, then those retentions will be recovered back to the client, to the contractor. But if there are any defect liability or there are any damages or defect on the building, then that retention will be used to cater for those repair works. Then after the 6 months, the remaining money will be paid back to the contractor after executing the work. So the procurement terms, the payment terms, and all those things are very important, and it's necessary that we need to adapt them in our daily construction projects. Now we go to the next one, which says that prepare the final account for the works on which basis the architect certified for final payment. So let's look more on the final payments when it comes to the mobilization. That's the first mobilization, the second mobilization, the third mobilization, and the final mobilization. On the final account, we're able to do all the accounts on the amount of money that is spent on the project, and we check it across the total work done so far, so that we make sure that we are on track, that the work is on the same track according to the amount of money paid to the contractor during the execution of the work. So the cash flow methodology that will be used, the cash flow expenses that will be made, everything will be gathered by the quantity surveyor. Then after that, you make the final account document to the architect that, okay, so far so good, the contractor has been able to do the work to the maximum or to the final stage at this, and per the final account, this is what we have to pay. Then we will prepare a certified final payment document. Some in the costs situation, we call it the IPC. That's the interim payment certificate. Yes. So with this, we depend on that. Then the architect certify it for the final payment to be made to to the contractor on the completion of the work, minus the retention for the LAD, that is the liquidated ascertained damages. So after the 6 months period, then they can pay the retention back to the contractor. Then we close contracts. Now let's look at another thing. They said measures any variation in the work due to architect's instruction. A drawing is prepared for a project to be taking place. During the execution of the project, the client comes to the architect and says that, oh, I wish this part of the building, also the hall, will be extended a little bit by 2 or 3 meters. In the initial stage, when the bill was prepared, it was prepared according to the measurement on the drawing. But during the work execution, now the client is requesting for what? An extension of the size of the hall, which will cause a variation in terms of quantity and valuation in terms of cost. So now the contractor will come to the quantity surveyor, drawing the attention that if there's any change in design from the architect or from the architect's instruction by the client, then I need to prepare a variation, and based on that variation, we value it, then we know the cost of that extension. So we go to the site to measure the variation, that is the extension, and get to know the area we are going to extend for the work. Then we value that quantities into what? Into valuation, monetary funds. Then that one can be paid as what? As a variation amount to the contractor during the execution and the project. So we measure any variation in the work due to the architect's instruction. And for the architect's instruction, it's not just from the architect, but also from the client, because the architect is the mouthpiece of what? Of the client. And whatever the architect says means that it's directly from the client, and the architect is trying to issue that instruction on the contractor to do. So those variations are very important. They need to be taken. The evaluation will be done on the work so that it will not be what? A conflict between the contractor and the consultancy team. Now let's go to the other one, which says assesses the value of work done and make recommendation to architects as the project proceeds. Assess the value of work done. So as a QS working for a consultancy team or for a client, any stage of the work, the QS and the other engineers are responsible to go to the site, assess the work done, and make sure that the work is done according to the design, according to the specification of the engineers, according to measurements, according to levels and everything. Then after that, he'll give a final report or a final recommendation to what? To the architects. So they do it at every stage. The foundation stage, they will go and do those checks, prepare a report, and give a check to it that, okay, the foundation, all works are being done according to the instructions by the engineers, by the architect and everything. So it gives a check up. Then the next stage can be proceed, which is the superstructure. Then as the project is also ongoing, they will also check like that. So every stage, every component, every element, whether being block work, whether being concrete, whether being steel works, every part of it will be checked. Even in aspect of the concrete, it's the responsibility of the consultancy team to make sure that even the strength of concrete which is being used by the contractor satisfy the engineer's recommendation. So sometimes when you look at the drawings, we have some we call the engineer's instructions or engineer's recommendation, where we have certain grade of concrete, certain type of reinforcement and size being used. All these things are being checked and make sure that the contractor has done the work according to it and it's on point and the contract is proceeding well to the final execution. There are more to it, but today I'll end my lessons on this 6 parts of the responsibility or the functions of what? Of the quantity surveyor. Next time we will talk more about it. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and there's a like button, like it, share our channel pages and our channel links, and also the number which is running under the screen. You can pick the number and call us if you need any help on any construction project. I'm a QS by profession and a construction manager. Yes. So any help you need in construction, you can fall on us for us to be of help to you, whether it being managerial aspects or it being the pure construction stage. We can do everything for you. I will see you next time, this time again. Take care. Bye.